Congress 2019, claiming our right to have our human dignity and safety protected and respected in pursuit of a decolonized quality public education. The National Congress 2019, claiming our right to have our human dignity and safety protected and respected in pursuit of a decolonized quality public education.
Yes, yes, yes. Then I will divide the 400 and I will put
Badokudlula ndiphethe into yokukhuluma.
Amandla awethu Matla Aruna Matla Amandla. Amandla. Viva SADTU, viva. Viva SADTU, viva. Viva the ANC, viva. Comrades, I'm not sure whether I'm audible enough. No. Can you please assist us with the volume right at the back there? Amandla. Viva SADTU, viva. Viva the ANC, viva. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva the SACP, viva. Viva Northern Cape Province, viva. Viva Northern Cape Province, viva. Viva Western Cape, viva. Viva Western Cape, viva. Viva Northwest, viva. Viva Northwest, viva. Viva Gauteng, viva. Viva Gauteng, viva. Viva Western Cape, viva. Viva Eastern Cape, viva. Viva Eastern Cape, viva. Viva Limpopo, viva. Viva Limpopo, viva. Viva KwaZulu Natal, viva. Viva KwaZulu Natal, viva. Viva Free State, viva. Viva Free State, viva. Viva the rising sun, viva. Viva Mpumalanga, viva. Thank you very much, comrades. Good morning to all of you. We think that we need to start with our proceedings. You are all welcome. We are welcoming all the delegates from the length and breadth of our country, representing the teachers of our country in this very, very important 9th National Congress of SADTU. We also want to welcome our guests who are with us here from various organizations from the continent of Africa, from Europe, America, across the globe. You are all welcome, comrades. But my welcoming you is not official. You cannot take off your coats as yet. Don't feel comfortable. Up until the president of the organization will have officially welcomed you. Now, we want to start with the program and will appeal to Congress. We don't have, slowly, we are trying to move towards being green as an organization. We may not have hard copies of the program. We have very, very few. We believe that as delegates, you have all downloaded the app of SADTU for the 9th Congress. And when you go to our app, that is where you'll find the program. So the program of this Congress in the main will be electronic. As I've indicated, there will be very, very few copies, that is hard copies of the program. We'll therefore appeal to delegates that you use your phones, you use your gadget to access the program. And as I speak to the program, I will also appeal to delegates to allow us in front here to manage the program so that the Congress will be able to run smooth. By so saying is that we may request that we make some adjustments on the program as we proceed and as we move forward. And the General Secretary will come and explain some of the things with regard to the program, particularly with some of the speakers that are going to address us. Now there is a video that is going to play. I will request that we beam that video as part of our program. Is it red? Oh. Thank you very much, comrades. That was a video recapping the 2014 National Congress and also the latter part of it introducing the theme that is proposed for this Congress. We are now going to request, as we need to be moving with speed, some cultural performances. We are going to start with Mvelo Group. Performers, are they ready? Where are they performing? Here.
Yeah. Are you not singing the national anthem? Yeah, don't go.
Thank you very much, Tumvelo Group. Can we give them another round of applause, please? I will request that we all rise to sing the national anthem. Umvelo group will lead us in the singing of the national anthem. Thereafter, the Eastern choir will lead us in singing Solidarity. May I declare our challenge up front. If there is anyone amongst delegates who can lead us on internationally, may I request can be able to lead us in singing the national, if that person can come forward so that we can see how we manage it. May I request all male comrades to take off their hats as we sing the national anthem. And it is only the first citizen of the country who will put his hand on his heart, not if you are not the first citizen. You just stand in a normal way as we sing the national anthem. Mvelo Group, we are all yours.
Israel
Thank you. While we are still standing, our ideological compass will lead us in singing the Internationale, Comrade Africa Mapai.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation. Arise, ye toilers of the earth. For raising thunder's new creation, it's a better world in birth. Nevermore tradition change shall bind us. Arise, ye toilers, no more in throw. The earth shall rise on new foundation. We are but not, we shall be all. Then comrades, come rally. 'Tis the last fight we face. The Internationale unites the human race. Then comrades, come rally. 'Tis the last fight, let us face. The Internationale unites the human race. Forward to socialism, forward!
Amandla. Let us start a revolutionary song as we welcome the President of the country coming into the hall. KZN. you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. Thank you very much. Amanda. Viva Ramaphosa, viva. Viva Ramaphosa, viva. Tumamina Ramaphosa, tumamina. Tumamina Ramaphosa, tumamina. Thank you very much, comrades. Can we please take our seats? Comrades, can we take our seats, please? Thank you, comrades. Let's go back to our seats. Thank you very much, comrades. As I said earlier, that we'll request Congress to allow us to manage the program in a particular way. Before I call upon the General Secretary to come and introduce our next speaker or our first speaker of the day, let me allow SADTU Israel Choir to render one musical item. As soon as you are ready, choir, we are all yours.
Tina, 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 soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, 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 soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, 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 soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, 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 soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, Tina, soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, Tina, soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, Tina, soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Zintozomhla, tingane SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo. Tina, Tina, soba bilinde SADTU, soba tulwa zintutumo.
Thank you very much, SADTU Israel Choir. Let's give them another round of applause, comrades. Thank you very much. May I hastily call the General Secretary of SADTU, Comrade Mgwena Mululega to come and introduce our next speaker. No problem, cool.
Mandla, Matla, Aruna, all power, forward with the teachers forward. Phansi ngokuhlwengula phansi. Comrade Deputy President, thank you so much. I'm not going to take much of your time. Congress and all delegates and our guests, it is my honor and the privilege on behalf of our National Executive Committee of SADTU to present to you the President of the African National Congress and the President of the Republic of South Africa. We have provided the profile, and therefore I will not read the profile. I've agreed with the President that I'm not going to waste time, because the President believes that the teachers are the nation builders, and therefore they don't waste time. They are always on task. They are always working. So the President is one of us who grew up in our trade union movement as the former General Secretary of the Mine Workers Union and the President of the African National Congress, and therefore I wish, President, you address the 1,500 delegates of SADTU from all the levels of higher education, from our kindergarten and our non-formal, our informal and formal education, as well as higher education. So you have our education support personnel who do the typing for us, who do the printing for us, and who are always filing our documents. And indeed, you understand that they work so hard for a very little salary that they receive. Today, our early childhood development practitioners, some of them are still earning 5,600 and some are earning 7,000 per month, and some are earning 23,000. And that disparity, Comrade President, for the people who are really building the nation as the anchors of our nation, are here. The college sector, which is very important for us to build an economy that can grow, and so that we're able to create jobs for our country, so that we can live in prosperity. They are also here, and therefore they are eager to listen to our President telling us about the Remunerations Commission, because it was going to improve the condition of service for our education. Comrade President, these are your members. Please, over to you. Thank you so much, Comrade Matamela, His Excellency, the President of South Africa. Over to you, sir.
Amanda! Amanda! Viva SADTU, viva! Forward with SADTU, forward! Forward with COSATU, forward! Forward with SACP, forward! Forward with SANCO, forward! Amanda! Forward with the African National Congress, forward! Abshe, Dumelang, Dumacheron, Sanbonan, Molweni. Good morning. Oh, you are teachers. You don't even say good morning, sir. Precisely what you teach your pupils, your learners. Comrade President, Program Director, Comrade President Mapila, President of SADTU, General Secretary, Comrade Mokoena Maluleke, and other officials of SADTU, Comrade Zingi Swalosi, the President of the Congress of South African Trade Unions, and the other officials who are with you, Second Deputy President, Comrade Tipe, and the Treasurer, Comrade Frida Oosthuizen, Comrade Solima Paila, the First Deputy General Secretary of the South African Communist Party, all leaders of our alliance formations, the guests who have come to your Congress, and comrades and friends. And because so many of you are wearing white shirts and ties, and I seem to be the only trade unionist with my lumber jacket today here, the SADTU lumber jacket. Now that you're wearing ties and suits, I was shocked when I saw the General Secretary and the President wearing suits and ties. Now I have to call you ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a real privilege to be here with you today. I'd like to take this moment and this opportunity to thank you at the outset as the educators of our nation, the people who, in more ways than one, that the whole nation relies on to mold and shape our future generation. We thank you for the work that you do. And even as the General Secretary says, yes, you do not get remunerated as you wish, but nonetheless, I stand here to say thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you very much. Your Congress is taking place at a time when our country is facing a number of challenges at a number of levels. The socio-economic challenges that our country is facing that have a negative impact on employment in our country, that have a negative impact on the livelihoods of our people, and results in inequality continues. The widespread challenges that we have recently experienced in relation to violence, particularly violence as perpetrated against women and children, also violence perpetrated against our own people as well as foreign nationals. These are matters that are hanging over our nation like a dark cloud which we hope and must work hard to recede so that the sun can penetrate and shine through. In a number of ways, our country stands at a crossroads, and where every one of us is being asked to make certain contributions, but where every one of us is also being asked to make certain choices so that we can build the South Africa that we want. An analysis of where we stand as a nation was thoroughly discussed through various structures of our movement, including ordinary people who we consulted as we went through the length and the breadth of our country during the process of drafting our 2019 elections manifesto. That whole process gave our people an opportunity to reflect on where our country is, to debate and discuss the solutions that they believed need to be crafted to take our country forward. Much as we are facing these challenges that are hanging like a cloud, a very dark cloud over our country, we have had discussions on some of the issues that give rise to the condition in which we are now. In seeking to come up with solutions, we drafted the 2019 Elections Manifesto, and in that manifesto, we listed the number of issues that need to be addressed in our nation. We also came up with a number of solutions. And these have crystallized in what we announced during the State of the Nation address as the 7 priorities that we highlighted. And these 7 priorities, in many ways, are an executive summary of all the issues that were raised by our people. The first one was, we've got to have economic transformation and job creation in our country, transform our economy into being an economy that will be both inclusive and that will also be able to address the socio-economic challenges our people are facing and create jobs. The other important priority which we identified was that education, skills, and health are the key issues that need to be addressed, and I'll come to those. We also said, thirdly, that we've got to consolidate the social wage through ensuring that we provide reliable and good quality basic services to the millions of our people. Fourthly, we said the spatial integration in our country, which was messed up by apartheid engineering, social engineering and spatial engineering, need to be addressed, and we need to have a human settlement framework that is going to undo what apartheid did. And in the course of doing so, we've also got to address the capability of our local government. And we also highlighted the challenge of social cohesion, that we need to engender social cohesion and nation building in our country, and also to ensure that we do have safe communities and deal with the scourge of crime. Building a capable and ethical and developmental state is one of the key priorities that we need to focus on, which as a membership you play a key role in. And in the end, the 7th priority is to build a better Africa and a better world. We did assert, comrades, that all our efforts across all these matters can really only be achieved if we work together, if we are able to build social compacts, if we are able to find ways of working in an effective way together to achieve these. Within these overarching priorities, we also decided to focus on what I would call 5 fundamental objectives for the next 10 years. And that in the next 10 years, we should address the issue of poverty in a direct and purposeful manner, so that there should be no South African, no person in South Africa should go hungry in the next 10 years. And we must end hunger and address poverty with immediate effect. We also said one of the key ones is that we must get our economy to grow at a much faster pace. And in a way, we set our targets, our sights a little bit lower than we should. And we said it must grow faster than our population growth, which is really low. But in fact, we'd like to have an economy that is going to grow at a much faster and higher rate, like many other economies are growing on our continent. And we would like in the next few years to have 2 million young people in employment as they come out of school, and as we prepare them to get into the world of work, we must make sure that they get into employment. And we also focus on one other important goal, which is within your realm of activity, that our schools should have better educational outcomes, and every 10-year-old should be able to read with meaning. Right now, many 10-year-olds don't read for meaning or with meaning, and they should be able to read. As they read and pick up a book, they must be able to understand and be able to read for meaning. Lastly, one of the key goals is to bring an end to half, at the very least, violent crime. And violent crime has been rife in our country, and we will talk about it in a minute. Now, as I said, to achieve all these, comrades, and let's remember where we've come from. We've come from a situation where we've done an analysis of where we are, and we crystallized all this in our election manifesto and went out, all of us collectively, to the nation and said, elect this glorious movement, the African National Congress, to lead the country the next 5 years. And I know, and I must stand here and thank many of you, if not all of you, for the campaign work that you did. I saw you in the campaign trail, and thank you very much for the excellent work that you did. And I know that your own union spent a lot of money in the campaign, and we thank you, President, we thank you, General Secretary, for all the contribution that you made to this campaign. It was to ensure a decisive victory by the African National Congress so that the gains that we have made in the past should remain secured, and in fact we must consolidate them and make sure that we get greater gains as well. Now, as I said, to achieve all this, we need to work together. Now, the path we've chosen is not only to grow our economy, comrades, but it is also to transform the economy of our country so that it becomes an inclusive economy in which all our people can benefit. And this, in many ways, will give credence to what our forebears said when they drafted the Freedom Charter, that the national wealth of our country, the heritage of all South Africans, shall be restored to the people. And it also goes on to add that all people shall have equal rights to trade where they wish, to manufacture, to enter into all trades, crafts, and professions. That is the trajectory that we have chosen with regards to our economy. Now, our broad economic framework has been articulated over time. What we are now doing is to finalize the strategy within the broad framework that we have for our economic development. We've now embarked on a process to chisel into place a strategy that is going to help us to arrive at an economic growth process to address the current challenges that we have. Discussions are underway to finalize this strategy. This weekend, the National Executive Committee of the ANC will be meeting to craft a clearer strategy on the economy going forward. And we will also be having discussions at the alliance level with our allies, the South African Communist Party, SADTU, as well as SANCO, to finalize this so that as we finalize this, we unshackle the energy and the power of our economy to grow and also to be transformed in a way that will begin to address the unemployment rate that we currently have. Because this unemployment rate is just not acceptable. It has to be brought down, and it now requires all of us to apply our minds on how we are going to unlock the real energy of our economy so that we have an inclusive economy that is going to answer the issue of reducing poverty amongst all our people in the rural areas as well as in the urban areas. Now, comrades, in order for us to have such an economy, it is generally agreed that we've got to address some of the drivers of high economic growth. And one of those drivers is our education. We've got to make sure that we have an education system, but we also ensure that there is access to quality education, because this is fundamental for the growth and the long-term success of our country. Educators such as yourself have the tremendously important task of shaping the minds of impressionable young people and also preparing them to make positive contributions to the world. So if you never thought that your role was important, wherever you are, in whatever school you are, I stand here to tell you that your role of paying attention to that learner in your class is so important that when you look at it in the broader scheme of things, you are actually an economic player. You are a key economic player because you are there to ensure that this young person, this learner's mind is stimulated, their mind is opened up so that they become a capable participant in the economy of our country. As Comrade Nelson Mandela said, education is the most important weapon which you can use to change the world. And this is the most important weapon that we can all use to change our country, to get our economy on a higher growth trajectory. And education is therefore the real engine that we should utilize. Accepting the transformative power of education, we all need to pledge here to commit ourselves to ensuring that the children and the young people of South Africa receive the best education possible. And you are the people who are best placed to deliver that education. You are the best placed people to make sure that our young people are educated and we become an educated nation. Having recognized that early childhood development is a critical phase of a person's development, and acknowledging the importance of receiving fundamental support for literacy and numeracy, government, as we all know, has transferred the responsibility for ECD to the Department of Basic Education, precisely where you operate. We've moved it from social development, we've now moved it to the engine room of our country, education, and that is where you are. Now, it was very interesting to me to observe during the election campaign, because when we articulated the decision that had been taken by the African National Congress to move education from social welfare to basic education, ordinary parents, ordinary people in the deep rural areas of our country, in the townships, applauded the most when we said we are moving ECD from social development to basic education. They did so because they realized the importance of getting ECDs into basic education. So, comrades, ordinary people out there now await now await the capabilities, the energy, the efficiencies that you have to be imposed on our early childhood development process. Comrade's General Secretary was saying, President, we are now awaiting as a union 90,000 ECD teachers to be brought into SADTU. And I said, wow, you're looking at it as though you are, operating in the real world. Because yes, you're going to get 90,000 ECD educators who are going to swell your ranks. And they are now going to strengthen SADTU even much more than what you are. And we are grateful for you for that. So we've also announced as government that a second compulsory year of early childhood or early learning before school will also be inaugurated. This means that we are investing more in children's formative years to ensure better literacy and numeracy outcomes in later years. So SADTU must become more active in the ECD field and work with government to develop programs that will ensure all children have access to quality learning from a young age. The Department of Basic Education, of course working together with SADTU, is now beginning this integration process as we started to reform government. Now this is underway. Now I would like to say that SADTU must be in the forefront. You must be coming with your intellectual prowess to actually work with the designs so that when we do fully integrate ECD into basic education, it is done in a way that you, as the teachers of our country, are going to work much more effectively with. Comrades, we all know that education can open the door to a better quality of life and future prosperity for years to come. In pursuit of creating a better life for all future generations, I announced that one of our goals over the next 10 years, yes, will be exactly what I said, that we want our children to be able to read effectively. This goal is being taken forward by many initiatives, such as the Department of Basic Education's Primary School Reading Improvement Program, which brings together a range of support interventions to improve the quality of teaching, of home language literacy, as well as English as a first additional language. This program will expand the assessment tools for teachers to ensure that they can offer support tailored according to the needs of the individual learners. Comrade Njimuteka, our minister, has announced that government will adopt a national reading plan for primary schools, and we urge comrades in SADTU to be involved at every stage of developing this plan. In this room are some of the comrades who, with the most practical knowledge that they have, are able to promote reading. They are also able to ensure that they deliver the best education to our young people. We can only learn from your knowledge and your involvement that will enrich the plan and its supporting strategies. Our world is also changing. We know that. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and in many ways it is changing every aspect of our lives. South African children must be prepared for these technological advances. COSATU urged me to become a co-chairperson of the ILO's, International Labour Organization's, Commission on the Future of Work. And in that commission, working with the Prime Minister of Sweden, who used to be the General Secretary of the Metal Workers of Sweden, we're able to work together and come up with a report that deals with how the fourth industrial revolution, climate change, globalization, and how a number of these mega global trends are going to impact on the future of work. But in all this, we concluded by saying we would like working people in our countries and working together with employers, governments, and everyone else to embark on a journey of lifelong learning, where every working person must imbue themselves with lifelong skills. They must get skilled, they must be reskilled, and they must upskill on a lifelong basis. Every year of one's life must be a year spent in learning something, so that we are properly adapted to the changes that are taking place at the global level and as they impact on us. But we also said that we would like, in the end, everything that is done is centered around working people. Working people must not be left without being properly, their needs being properly addressed. We said that even as machines are now going to be changing the way the work is done in the workplace, the interests of working people must always be paramount. They must always be taken care of. And people must be given a just transition that will anticipate precisely the work capability of working people as they move on. We have already begun ourselves to structure a number of things that need to address this challenge. The school curricula is being structured in a manner that takes into account that many of today's jobs will either not exist or not exist in their current form in the next 2 decades. We have begun to teach our learners in a manner that prepares them for the changing world of work. SADTU has an important role to play in an increasingly digitized world. Not only must you, comrades, prepare yourselves for new technologies and new subjects, but you must also prepare our young people for this new world that's going to be reshaped by globalization, by the fourth industrial revolution, as well as by climate change. New technologies can have both a positive and a negative effect on young people and educators, but we must be at the forefront of ensuring that the lessons, the curricula that is made available to our young people anticipate those possibilities, those dangers of the new technologies and various platforms that are emerging. In recognizing that, that not all learners will attend universities, we have introduced, as you well know, technical occupational training in our curriculum, in addition to academic and technical vocational training as well. Youth unemployment is one of the most significant challenges that our country faces, and we have announced a range of initiatives that we are embarking upon to address it. One of these initiatives is a program that is offered by some of our TVET colleges, whereby, in collaboration with industries in the area, these colleges offer courses that develop the skills required by those industries. And this becomes an industry-focused type of learning. And this gives graduates of these colleges a greater chance of finding jobs upon attaining their qualifications. We need to massify such initiatives, and I am extremely encouraged by the plan to establish national schools of specialization or focus schools on an incremental basis throughout the country in the medium to long-term basis to offer new and other skilled-based subjects which include, amongst others, things like aviation, maritime studies, engineering, hospitality and tourism, arts and culture, as well as mathematics and science. And this was announced by the Minister of Basic Education in July of this year. Now, these specialized or focused schools will largely align with the special economic zones that we are already establishing throughout the country, and they will respond to the skill needs of those special economic zones. Now, educators, comrades, are aware that too large a cohort of learners drop out of school before completing matric. And I have seen this as I go around on door-to-door campaigns, visiting households, and there are times, and I've described this on a number of occasions, there are times when you go into a household and you meet family members in a household, the parents and the young people, and you ask what the young people are doing. And some of them will say things like, "No, I dropped out of school, I stopped at grade 9. And when you ask, why did you drop out? No, the teacher did not like me. That's true, some of those things are told to us. Teacher unasandrati. Principal unasandrati anshauta na kweka ufela. Those are some of the reasons that you're given. And of course, some of the reasons is that, there was a pregnancy and the young woman, the young girl dropped out of school. Now, SADTU yourself, you estimate that the dropout rate is possibly more than 40%. And this, we all agree, is way too high. And I think the dropout rate is possibly about 45%. And I do my estimation by looking at, as you do, when the school year starts, there are almost 1 million young children who start school, who get very excited as they start school. You expect that by year 12, that million will be qualifying, will be writing matric. It often is not the case. Possibly about 550 only write. And we have to ask ourselves, where have these 400,000 or 450,000 gone to? This is a question that we need to occupy ourselves with. As a government, as SADTU, and all of us need to ask ourselves, where are they? These dropouts are attributed to a whole number of socioeconomic factors, such as child-headed households and the need for young people to work and support their families, and many others. But working together with trade unions, we've developed the National Integrated Assessment Framework so that we are able to look more closely at this. This system will be able to find solutions for us. We've spoken extensively about the scourge of gender-based violence in our communities. And in the 2-3 past weeks, we've been speaking most publicly about this matter. A sad reality is that such heinous crimes also occur in schools and in other places of learning. Educators are often the best place to notice where learners are victims or are at risk, and we urge you to speak out. This culture of silence empowers and enables perpetrators. It is the teachers, yourselves, who are able to see that a child is either under stress, is being abused in one way or another. At the same time, we need a shift in society's mindset to a culture that rejects this concept of patriarchy and recognizes how gender stereotypes harm both boys and girls. Teachers who have consistent contact with young people are vital to changing mindsets and empowering young people to deal with harmful social relations. However, too many teachers are overburdened or are under-resourced themselves. There is a duty, yes, on government to ensure that teachers are equipped and supported to play this role in our society. Now, we are going to do everything we can to improve teaching conditions and school safety through increasing school infrastructure, ensuring that schools have proper fencing, burglar alarms, functioning relationships with the local police and other services. This is what we would like to make available to you to improve your conditions of employment. Now, Minister Motshekga will further give details on how we will empower teachers and learners through the Department of Basic Education's awareness, prevention and support programs on, for instance, issues such as gender-based violence, sexual abuse, bullying, and other forms of violence and intimidation. The measures that we announced in Parliament are also going to take effect in the various schools where you operate. Now, because we are aiming to improve the psychosocial support programs that are available to educators and learners in our school system. There are too many reports, though, of sexual relations between educators and learners. And you know this. This abhorrent behavior must be decisively addressed and it must be stopped. As educators, your job is that of a parent to the children who come to your schools. You are not supposed to be the lovers of your children who come to the schools. Now, the reports, and we may want to deny this, as often happens, we may want to deny that this does not take place. But bagaethu, raitsi, we know that it is happening. We know that this sexual relations between educators and learners do happen. And we say SADTU must stand firm and say we will not allow educators to have sexual relations with learners. And it is SADTU that must be in the forefront, because as teachers, you are the parents of these children. Auratane le ngwana wa gago ka ntho e jwalo. Awa tshwanela gore o jole le ngwana wa gago. Because you are parents, we expect that you will be way above these types of things. So I'm addressing it directly with you and saying that this abhorrent behavior must be addressed and it must be brought to an end. But at the same time, the law must be allowed to take its course. More worrying is the instances where teachers sexually assault learners. As with all cases of sexual assault, these crimes must be fully prosecuted and the perpetrators must be subjected to the full extent of the law. For us to reach our goals and give effect to our priorities, we require a capable and developmental state. We require public servants who are diligent and serve the people of our country with honesty and integrity. Now, the overwhelming majority of SADTU members are public servants who work in large number of public schools and hold the future of our country in their hands. Government commits to continue supporting these most crucial public servants through improving the quality of teaching, improving the conditions under which they work, We must all work harder to recruit more young people to the teaching profession. Attaining our goals means that we must have quality teachers in specific subjects, in all phases and in all geographic areas of our country. Government provides support through the Funza Lushaka bursary program, as you know, and we are looking into ways in which this program can be expanded and be more streamlined. One important area that we must pay deliberate attention to is ensuring that teachers are not over-concentrated in affluent or urban areas to the neglect of disadvantaged rural areas. All schools in our areas must have adequate number of well-qualified teachers. Teacher unions must make sure that they work with government to make sure that this does indeed happen. We are also working on equipping teachers with the required skills to teach new technologies, foundational learning, and a whole range of new ways of learning. Government cannot do this by ourselves, and we call on comrades in organized labor to support these endeavors. And I've always found that when SADTU and the Department of Basic Education sit down to discuss issues, to discuss how to improve education in our country, it works extremely well. The increased focus on new technologies and foundational learning will not detract from our drive to improve skills in all the other teaching disciplines. There must be skilled educators in all subjects, especially if we are going to succeed with our efforts to, for instance, increase access to mother tongue learning and making history a compulsory subject. Teachers are fundamental to our ongoing prosperity as a nation. And if you are not there to guide young people and equip them to become productive and responsible members of society, we will never be able to win and to succeed. To be in charge of shaping young minds is an enormous responsibility, and I urge all educators to perform their duties with care and dedication, because you've gotten into this profession because you care. You got into this profession because you want to serve the people of our country. And we are saying to you, as we honor you for having taken these gigantic steps to want to serve our nation, we say, do it with care and dedication. We need to pay closer attention to how we hold all civil servants to account, and this is especially important when it comes to educators. As you are aware, the future success of our nation really depends on how we hold up the high standards. It is clear that we need a more comprehensive measurement to assess educators and identify where improvement is required. And the issue of self-assessment also is an important one, where we are able to assess ourselves and see where we are lacking and see how we can best improve. One of our more urgent challenges set out in our 7 priorities is to ensure that we consolidate the social wage through providing reliable basic services. Now, we have inaugurated what we call the district model, the district development model. And this district development model looks at everything that is meant to improve the lives of our people at a district level. Yes, it looks at service delivery, it looks at the issues of crime, it looks at the issues of education as well. We launched the first one in OR Tambo district. And one of the things that we focus on is how many schools do we have in OR Tambo? And how are those schools functioning? As we drill deeper down at that district level, we will also be focusing on our schools, the functionality of our schools, the infrastructure situation of our schools, and the delivery of education in the districts. And of course, as you well know, one of our 7 priorities focuses on a better Africa and a better world. We've been, in the past few weeks, had to deal with a huge challenge where a number of South Africans lost their lives, as well as foreign nationals. The situation we were exposed to led to the whole world looking at South Africa as though, as South Africans, we actually hate foreign nationals. That is what was splashed throughout the world. And this is what finally led to the AU also discussing our own situation. The Peace and Security Committee was called to discuss what was unfolding in our country. And it has led to me sending envoys throughout the continent to go and explain to a number of countries and leaders that, one, South Africans do not hate foreign nationals. We are not xenophobic as a nation. We've always lived side by side with people from other nations, and we've done so historically over a number of years. We've also had to say that, yes, we will make sure that what happened in the recent past is something that we want to put behind us, that it should never happen again on South African soil. We've also said that we want to build social cohesion, yes, between us and people from other countries. But we've also said we would like those who have come to our country to live and obey the laws of South Africa as they live here. But we've also said we are, as a nation, putting our people first. We want, yes, South Africans to have a sense that our country is right there ready to take care of their needs. Because one of the issues that has been raised is that it does seem like we are not taking due care, and we say our responsibility is to South Africans to create jobs for South Africans, to make sure that South Africans get the best services, and as we do so, we must have the ability to live side by side with people from other nations. And therefore, we cannot, as South Africans, be seen to be the ones who are going to pick up our hands and attack people from other nations. That cannot be, because that does not define us as South Africans. So if we are going to build a better Africa, it is a better Africa in which South Africa also lives side by side with other nations on our continent, side by side with other people in our own country. And of course, we want to build a better world so that South Africa is able to provide leadership. And this is where the world expects South Africa to provide leadership in dispute resolution, in the promotion of human rights, in living out the ethos that is embedded in our Constitution. As I said at the beginning, in order to build the South Africa that we want, we are called upon to make a contribution. Now, I would like SADTU, as you carry on with your own deliberations, prominent in your mind must be, what contribution can SADTU make? What is it that SADTU can contribute to make sure that we build the South Africa that we want? But more importantly, we need to make certain choices. There are choices that we will need to make, because right now we are going through a rather challenging time. Our engine, our vehicle to achieve all this, clearly, is how our alliance functions. The alliance between the African National Congress, COSATU, and the South African Communist Party and SANCO is a historic alliance, is a most important alliance. All these things we will never be able to achieve, to address the 7 priorities, unless the alliance functions well, unless the alliance is a well-oiled machine that is going to lead our revolution. Our national democratic revolution can only be successfully led by this alliance. We are therefore working hard to unite this alliance and to ensure that as we renew ourselves, particularly the African National Congress, as we renew ourselves, we are ready, we are well prepared to lead this revolution as we proceed. So therefore, comrades, prominent in our thinking must be, what is it that we can all do to strengthen our alliance? What is it that we can all do to make sure that, yes, indeed, the 7 priorities that have been set out in our manifesto are achieved? What is it that we can all collectively do, working together in our various structures, to ensure that indeed the objectives of our revolution are achieved? You are well placed as SADTU, a SADTU that has always been revolutionary in its approach on many issues, a SADTU which has been able to captivate the hearts and the minds of educators through the length and the breadth of our country, a SADTU which is strong, a SADTU which is purposeful in everything that it does. You are well positioned to join us in this effort of ensuring that all these 7 priorities are achieved. And of course, in the course of all that, you are also interested in advancing the interests of your members. You are interested, yes, in the wages, in the salaries that you are paid. You are also interested in this commission that you were talking about, General Secretary. I know that for a fact. You are also interested in ensuring that ECD teachers no longer earn 5,000 Rand or 7,000 Rand. And I agree with you and I support you in that regard, because as they say, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Now we must make sure that, yes, we look at all that as we strengthen our education system. I would like to see a process in which SADTU and government work together as we address not only the salaries of the ECD educators, but also as we address your various other conditions. You play a most important role in the life of our country, in the life of our government, and we see you as partners, linked together, yes, as employer and employee, but at the same time linked together in this revolutionary process where, as part of our alliance, we work with you to attain the objectives that we have set out for ourselves. So I'd like to see us working together where there are issues that need to be addressed. We sit down, we address those issues. The Minister of Public Service just called me this morning and he said, President, I want you to know that on Friday we are going to have a big march. It's a march of the civil servants of our country, march that will be saying, we are pledging support to the efforts that government is making to take our country forward. We are also marching against gender-based violence, but we are also pledging to the whole nation that we are going to be focused on providing good service. We are going to put our people first. We are going to live out the principles of Batupili. Now, that was music to my ears. And I hope, General Secretary and President, that the membership of SADTU will be part of the ranks of those who are going to be marching, because I see that as a very positive march, where the civil servants who are looked upon by the people of our country as the people who are going to deliver the best service to them will be taking a stand and saying, this is what we commit ourselves to. We are going to serve you, the people of our country, with diligence, with commitment, and with great love. And you, as SADTU members, should be at the forefront of that. So I want to extract a promise from this Congress that yes, as the leading civil servants of our nation, you are going to pledge that you will serve the nation of South Africa with diligence, with commitment, and you are going to put our children first so that our children can be so well educated to play a critical role in the economy of our country. Do I have your support with regard to that, members of SADTU? Thank you very much. Forward with SADTU, forward. Forward with SADTU, forward. Amanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the President of the country and the ANC. I'm now going to call the General Secretary and the President to show our appreciation to the President of the country. Yeah.
There's another one, so that you look like a trade unionist.
Thank you so much. Wow, this is real leather. This is real nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can see.
Thank you very much, comrades. May I request Eastern Cape to lead us in a song? Comrades, let's all join. Let's all join in, comrades. Amanda, I am sorry. I am sorry, Eastern Cape. I'm just worried. Amanda, Eastern Cape. I'm just worried about the number of delegates that are leaving the hall. Comrades, the Congress is still in session. That's one. Secondly, may I request that we all sing, comrades. Let's join the Eastern Cape in singing. Eastern Cape. Are you ready? Eh? Are you ready?
Yeah, let's just get to connect again. Where is he?
Fanele akhulume nalabafana phela bayoqhuma emuva labafana.
But I must be doing yes. Remember, I must have my own. When
But ayikho lento yokuconnecta la.
No, iyakhi nayo. Bona bazayikhonekta but nami nginayo.
Oh, okay.
Ikuyabanda.
Uzowazi ukuyi-operator lo muntu lena?
Uyohlala phansi la eduze kwakhe, not far.
Oh,
So that angabi nenkinga.
okay.
Uthi ngifake
Amandla. Amandla, thank you very much, Eastern Cape. Thank you very much, Eastern Cape. Thank you very much, Eastern Cape. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, we are now going to continue with the program of the Congress. We are now, as the program is displayed, is projected on our screens, we are now moving with the first motion of Congress, which is motion number 1 on the adoption of credentials. We are calling upon the Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Nkosana, to come and present the first motion of Congress on the adoption of credentials. Is that a flag, Eastern Cape? May I hear? Speak, sir. May I request that you open the mics on the floor? It's opened. But there is no sound.
It's working now.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thanks, President, and the entire Congress. Tabile Kunene, the provincial chairperson of the SADTU in the Eastern Cape. President, we want to raise the matter that relates to logistics of the conference with due respect. One, President, is in relation to the screens this side that are not working. And our delegates who do not have the program are being disadvantaged because these screens are blank. They are not showing anything on them. Secondly, President, is in relation to the temperatures inside the room. If, President, something can be done by the front table or by the logistic officers, we are dying here out of the cold that we are experiencing as the province. Remember, as Eastern Cape, President, we are not used too much to low temperatures, with due respect.
Thank you very much, Chair. We will definitely attend to it. We will request our technical people to attend to the two issues raised by the Eastern Cape, and indeed they are genuine concerns. But however, I'm sure Eastern Cape will allow us to continue with the program while we are attending. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Comrade TGS, can you come and present the first motion of the Congress?
Amandla. Amandla. Thank you, Comrade President. I'm inviting the National Congress to take out Book 4, which is the book dealing with motions to the National Congress. I'm requesting you to open page 142, because the motion that we are dealing with now, you'll find on Book 4, page 142. Oh, it's fine. Comrades, we are requesting you to look at the app. I think that's where we loaded some of our documents, but it's not a crisis. We will present the credentials. President, the credentials to the 9th National Congress are as follows. Kolani, just the credentials, please, go back. Yeah. Thanks. In terms of the national office bearers, expected to the National Congress is 7. In terms of the gender breakdown, 4 of them are males and 3 of them are females. The delegates, in terms of the national office bearers to the Congress, is 7. From the Eastern Cape province, with a total membership of 40,556, President. Expected delegates to the 9th Congress is 170. In terms of the gender breakdown, 95 of them are males, 72 of them are females. The total delegates present at this Congress is 167. From the Free State, with a total membership of 14,083, expected delegates are 92, President. In terms of gender breakdown, for males, we are having 55 and we are having 34 females. Total delegates present from the Free State are 89. From Gauteng province, with a total membership of 38,136, expected delegates to the Congress are 160. In terms of gender breakdown, males, we have 92 from Gauteng, 63 females. Total delegates present here today is 155. From KwaZulu-Natal, President, with a total membership of 59,478, expected delegates to the National Congress are 232. Breakdown in terms of gender, President, 130 of them are males, 102 are females. Total delegation present here today is 232. From Limpopo, President, with a total membership of 43,804, expected delegates 181. Gender breakdown, 108 of them are males, 72 of them are females. Total delegation from Limpopo at this Congress is 180. Mpumalanga province, with a total membership of 24,994, expected delegates to the National Congress, it's 116. In terms of the gender breakdown, males are 62 and we're having 54 females. Total delegates at this National Congress is 116. The Northern Cape Province, President, with a total membership of 529. Expected delegates to the National Congress is 46. Gender breakdown, 21 of them are males, 22 are females. Delegates present at this National Congress are 43. Northwest Province President, with a total membership of 15,077. Delegates expected to the 9th National Congress are 87. The gender breakdown is 56 males, and then we have 28 females. Delegates present at the National Congress are 84. From the Western Cape, President, the last province, with a total membership of 12,740. Delegates expected to this National Congress are 73. In terms of gender breakdown, we have 40 males, 33 of them being females. Total delegation from the province are 73. The total membership of the Union, President, is 216 in terms of what we use as a deadline in terms of the April determination. The National Executive Committee determined the membership of April 2019 to be used to constitute membership of delegates to this National Congress. So by April 2016, we were at 216,271. 216,000. You remind me of the difficult time of in Parliament when we were struggling with numbers. So it's 216,271. So the delegates expected to the National Congress are 1,164. The breakdown is 663 are males, and 483 of them are females. The delegation present here now is 1,146, President. We do have non-voting delegates that we just want to recognize, though they might not form part of the whole voting delegation to the conference. We invited non-voting delegates from our subsectors. We invited some from ECD, office-based, from the DPE, from TVET, CET, ELSON, and we also invited young workers, provincial negotiators, and provincial organizers. We are providing the National Congress with a breakdown in terms of gender. From Gauteng, in terms of the ECD, from the vulnerable sectors, 4 of them are female and 3 are male. KZN quickly, 4 are female, 3 of them are males. From the Northern Cape, 1 is a female, 5 of them are males. From the Eastern Cape, 5 are females and 1 is a male. From Mpumalanga, 5 females, 1 is a male. From Western Cape, 4 are females and 3 are males. Free State, 3 are female and 2 are males. From Limpopo, 2 are females and 5 are males. So if you go down there, the total numbers, because just to summarize it quickly, the total number of non-voting delegates is 58. President, we are inviting the Congress then to motion 1 that we are presenting to the National Congress. Without wasting your time, I will not go through the noting and believing part of the motion. I will go to the last part, which is the resolve part of the motion. We therefore resolve that the National Congress adopts the credential list presented as it constitutes a quorum as provided to by the Constitution. So moved by the General Secretary. Thank you, President.
Thank you, DGS. Congress, first motion on credentials. Let me note, I'm noting Mpumalanga, followed by Western Cape, followed by Limpopo, KZN, Is it Northern Cape? Eastern Cape? I can't read that board. What province is that? Northwest. Free State. Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
Thank you, President. We rise to second the motion from the General Secretary to adopt the credentials as a true reflection of the expected delegates to this Congress. However, we think that the total number of members of SADTU must be corrected. We're not 216,000. The number is more than 250. If you check the total number of members per province, it will give you 254,000 and a couple of hundreds. But we rise to second, but we must just correct that 216.
Thank you. Thank you. Mpumalanga, seconding that correction. Western Cape.
Thank you, President. My name is Jonathan Ruston. I'm the Provincial Secretary of SADTU Western Cape. We rise to confirm with Mpumalanga that we second the resolution to adopt the credentials. Thank you.
Thank you, Western Cape. Limpopo.
Yeah, Comrade President, Johannesburg Sowell, Provincial Secretary Limpopo, and so we do.
Thank you, Limpopo. KZN.
Thank you, Chairperson. Pumelelo Mtoshane, Nalon Kucha Branch, MSR, KZN. Branch Chairperson and the delegate. Chairperson, we rise to second the motion, but as we second the motion, Chairperson, we are noting with concern that there are branches who are here from our region, branches whom we last saw in the regional activities, in all regional activities, 25 May 2018. We last saw them in 25 May 2018. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can just confine yourself to the motion. The motion is about credentials.
We second the motion with that consent.
Thank you very much, my leader. Northern Cape. Northern Cape. Unfortunately, it's very dark. I can't see properly. Yes. Eastern Cape, I can't see Northern Cape. I don't know whether they are still struggling with the mic. Oh, speak. No, that's Free State. I can't see. Eastern Cape.
Thanks, Chair. Wong and Zamela, Ngaleni Branch, Eastern Cape. We second the motion.
Thank you. Northwest.
Chair, as the Northwest, we are seconding and supporting the
Thank you. Free State.
No, thanks, President. Without contradicting ourselves, we want to second the motion as presented.
Thank you very much, Free State. The credentials have been adopted. There is no counter. So we have the Congress President. I'm now going to call upon the General Secretary to come here and deal with two items on the agenda. The first item will be on apologies, then the second one will be on appeals. Yes?
Comrade President, thank you so much. We don't have an apology. We are 7 here. We will explain why we are not 8, but it's not an apology. We were 8 in 2014, and the Vice President for Education got to be employed in the Department of Basic Education. She's here. I saw her smiling, but I don't see her now. Oh, Vero, how are you doing? Comrades, we congratulate our Vice President, so there are no apologies. So, Comrade President, can I proceed to deal with the appeal in terms of the program? There is an appeal from the 3 branches of Mbuso Shabalala region in KwaZulu-Natal. And the Deputy President, as the program director, was right that we should have waited so that we are able to deal with this. We had a dispute in Mbuso Shabalala region. The dispute was dealt with by the province. They could not conclude. They then referred the matter to the national office. Of course, having received a number of letters as the National Executive Committee to deal with the issues that they were raising. Now, in terms of Section 15.19F, the National Executive Committee is empowered to decide on the procedure to follow when you deal with issues of elections. Of course, that the branches or the region shall have followed all the complaints around issues of elections. The first is to ensure that on the ground, when there is a problem during the election process, the provisions is that the branches should register that particular grievance immediately with the electoral officer. Now, whether that has happened is another thing. We'll come to that very quickly. So if they had registered this grievance with the electoral officer, the electoral officer is empowered to call those who were in office but not contesting any position from the region, or the members of the provincial leadership who are responsible for the election, to resolve that amicably, because you want to always maintain unity of our structures. That's why the Constitution is written in that way. But I don't want to go that way. I want to deal strictly with 2 pertinent issues that the National Executive Committee had to deal with, which I would want to present a recommendation to the National Congress. That having followed all these processes, in terms of 15.19F, we then determined a procedure that the National Disciplinary Committee would go and investigate the complaints that the 5 branches were raising. And indeed, the NDC had gone down to KwaZulu-Natal to give an opportunity to the branches that were complaining about the outcome of the RTGM. They also listened to the provincial leadership and the electoral officers who were conducting the elections. Having listened to the merit or demerits of the case, they presented a report to the National Executive Committee. Now I want to address 2 things. The first is one pertinent issue of whether the investigation was fair, and we want to affirm that the investigation was fair because they've been given all of them. They may complain and say we're given 20 minutes. The issues that we had documents that the NDC had to rely on, but also oral submissions were made. So therefore, as far as the National Executive Committee is concerned, that was fair. The second pertinent issue is whether the NEC having relied on the report, had the NEC arrived at a sanction that we can say is rational. Can that sanction really bring us together and unite us in the interest of our organization? We are answering that question in the affirmative, that yes, the NEC arrived at that conclusion because it was a rational one. Now, having answered these two in the affirmative, we need to then answer the other question, which is the real question. Was there any basis for an appeal by the branches? Factually, when you look at all the things that they were raising, there's no basis, there's no merit for the appeal. But the critical question is, does the Constitution of SADTU provide that you have an appeal at the National Congress on the election? And we think the branches have misinterpreted the Constitution as well as the rules of procedure, which provide for an appeal if you are dealing with misconduct or you are dealing with structural issues, not the elections. So having misinterpreted the Constitution in that way, they relied on a wrong clause of the Constitution, which you find it in clause 12(1) and 1(2) in the Constitution. That is dealing with issues of misconduct as provided for, also dealing with the issues of structural, not the election. The Constitution is written in such a way that you unite the organization and give the NEC the authority to finalize on any appeal or any grievance concerning the elections, because you want the structures to be operational, you want the structures to be functional. So that's why the Constitution does not provide that you come and appeal to the Congress for an election complaint or grievance. So I'm trying to explain so that you go and check 15(1)(9)(f). It is conclusive. It says the NEC will take any other decision in the interest of the organization when it comes to that. So finally, we are saying there's no basis for the appeal because the Constitution does not provide for that. But having known as the NEC, we brought it here so that we present to you, so that we are transparent, that we have dealt with this particular appeal or the appeals or the purported appeals by those particular three branches. So I'm presenting to you a recommendation from the National Executive Committee to say we cannot hear as the National Congress a purported appeal because there is no provision in the Constitution to have an appeal on the elections. We don't want a union that is always running around for election purposes. We are for representing the members. We are for developing the nation and ensuring that we are a united, a focused, a very stable organization. So the National Executive Committee is opposing this appeal on the basis that in terms of merit and substantiveness and procedures, there is no basis for this particular appeal. So we are saying, let's reject this purported appeal. But I need to also give you some information in 1 minute. These branches are not attending the RECs because they say they are aggrieved. So in the Constitution that they have written for themselves as the branches, there is a clause for them which we don't know that says they have the power and the authority to walk out of the meeting of the organizations. They have written their own clauses as the branches to say they will not attend REC, nor any activity that is called by this structure, the National Executive Committee, or the PECs. They don't attend. They are outside, as we speak, outside the structures of the organization. There is no clause like that in the Constitution. If you compare their letters, you will see that it's copy and paste. So there is coordinated grievance. So it's actuated by the fact that we are not happy that the outcome does not favor us. Therefore, we shall follow these particular procedures. That is a waste of time for the Congress, and we are saying, let us not hear the purported appeal. So we move and on behalf of the National Executive Committee President, that we don't hear this appeal. There's no appeal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, comrades. Culture of SADTU, when there is a motion, we raise boards and we look for seconders. We don't necessarily clap hands. So let me then request for seconders of the motion as moved by the National Executive Committee. But before, okay, let me note hands first. Let me take Mpumalanga. KwaZulu-Natal. What is that board again? Put it like this, Northwest. Limpopo. Yes. Now, before I allow Mpumalanga to come in, I'm told that I must, if you want to go to Wi-Fi, if you want to access the internet in the hall, you go to Wi-Fi. The username is SADTU National Congress. And the password, I'm noting Free State, the password is I am a school fan, one word. I am a school fan, you make that one word. Western Cape. Eastern Cape. Okay, let me go to Mpumalanga.
As Mpumalanga, we fully support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mpumalanga seconds the motion. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson of the program director. My name is Musa Zulu, the chairperson of Mzimtebu region and the delegate. Program director, we are rising to second the recommendation with the rider that says this Congress must instruct the NEC to disband these branches. We are raising this guided by the fact that they last attended the REC meeting on the 25th of May, 2018. We therefore say, because our concern is the membership service, so we cannot therefore have leaders who don't attend meetings of this organization. Further to that, we are noting in content that these branches will always defy and have their own parallel meetings and programs that seeks to undermine the programs of the organization. So we submit, Comrade President.
Thank you, KwaZulu-Natal. Seconding with the rider, Northwest.
Thank you, Comrade President. The Northwest is seconding the motion as presented by the NEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Northwest. Limpopo.
Comrade President, we are rising against Limpopo to second the motion as presented. Thanks.
Thank you. Freestad.
Thanks, President. President, first and foremost, we want to acknowledge the fact that the only structure that can interpret the Constitution, it is the NEC. And on behalf of the NEC, the General Secretary has just outlined to us what is contained in the Constitution. So on the basis of that, we want to support the motion as tabled by the General Secretary. But secondly, President, we also want to Free State, in the event that the delegates from those branches are in here, can they please leave this Congress?
Thank you, Free State. Western Cape.
Thank you, President. As Western Cape, we rise to support the motion by the General Secretary.
Thank you. Eastern Cape.
Thanks, Chair. Before we even move or support any motion in this regard, we implore the Congress to advise us on the following clarities. One, whether the three consent branches are part of the Congress. Two, with the clarified chair on their status in relation to the Congress. By that we mean, if they are part of the Congress, where the necessary processes towards the election of delegates into this Congress followed in their respective branches. We request your guidance on those two clarities, Chair, before we can support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eastern Cape. I will then request the General Secretary to come back to the podium. First of all, we start with the clarities, yes, but also speak to the rider that has been proposed to the motion of the NEC, because we must request or ask the movers of the motion whether they are compatible with the rider as proposed by KwaZulu-Natal as well as Free State. Yes?
Okay. Now, Comrade President, we don't want to conflate issues. We have presented a motion from the National Executive Committee on the issue of an appeal, so we want to appeal to Congress that we must not have the riders. Precisely because the National Executive Committee has a decision on how to proceed on the matter of Mmuso Shabalala region in respect of these particular branches. So we want to urge Congress that because we take decisions on the basis of the motions, and we presented a motion from the National Executive Committee, we should only close the matter at that and then allow the National Executive Committee to proceed, because we have a decision that we have taken around what has got to happen with the region as well as those particular branches. In terms of the clarity, yes, the branches are here. They have followed the necessary processes in terms of the Constitution to call their branch general meeting or their site steward council to elect the delegates. So because there was no investigation on the branches or any disciplinary cases on the branches, so they qualify to be here as the delegates. So leave the matters of discipline to the National Executive Committee. We want to appeal to the Congress that we stick to one motion that we have presented, Comrade President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure Eastern Cape is massaged. KZN and Free State, the move of the motion is suggesting that we leave the motion as is and allow the NSC to continue with the issues of discipline and what have you. I'm sure KZN and Free State are comfortable with that. KZN is noting and Free State is also noting. Thank you very much. So we have dealt with the issues of appeals, yes. Now we continue with the program. We are now moving to the second motion of Congress in terms of the motions booklet, wherein we are dealing with the adoption of the agenda of Congress, as well as, or rather, the program of Congress. Yes? You can speak from there, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Comrade President. If I can request the technical people at least to improve on the sound table. But also we believe, Comrade President, let's repeat the issue of the Wi-Fi. It's a SADTU National Congress. As you scroll there, there are so many. And then the password, as we have indicated, Comrade President, is I am a school fan, one word. I don't know whether you call small letters or big letters, as long that I have not been in the classroom. So please forgive me. The next motion, we must use book 1 first. It's where we have our notice of this National Congress of ours. Comrade President, we have in page 3 of our book 1, providing evidence that we have complied with the Constitution in terms of providing for the notice of this meeting, but secondly, that we have also provided for the agenda as required by the Constitution, as well as the venue and the date of this meeting. So we want to move motion 2 for adoption by Congress.
Motion 2 is moved for adoption by Congress. Any seconder? Limpopo? Off.
Comrade President, we are asking as Limpopo to second the notice convening the Congress as presented.
Thank you very much. Notice convening the Congress is seconded. Any counter? 3, 2, 1. There is no counter. GS, let's deal with the agenda. Yeah, let's deal with the agenda. We have dealt with the notice. Now let's go to the agenda. Can you project the program on our screens? Yes, proceed, yes. Let's put the program on the screen, please.
Right, I have it present.
Okay. You may proceed in the meantime, GS.
Thanks, Comrade President. Congress, we are presenting the program as outlined on the screen, and some of the branches do have the program in printed form, which we'll also be distributing as soon as we receive them. However, as we have indicated, we have uploaded all of this on our portal as well as the app. And now that we have given you the Wi-Fi password, you will be able to scroll and see all the documents that are there. So, Comrade President, the National Executive Committee, as the convener of the National Congress, is presenting this program and agenda as provided for in the Constitution for adoption. The program will also be supported by the committees that we shall present, which will then be managing the Congress, so that from time to time, if there are changes, they will be presented to the plenary, so that the plenary is able to guide the table, so that we are able to have a very smooth Congress following this guideline. So, Comrade President, without much ado, we want to present notice 3 for adoption, which is on the agenda and program.
Thank you very much. The agenda is moved. Any seconder? KwaZulu Natal? Eastern Cape? Limpopo?
Thank you, President. My name is Sonda Zambeni, Deputy Chairperson. We move to second the agenda as presented by the General Secretary.
Thank you very much, KwaZulu Natal. The agenda is seconded. Any counter to the agenda? 3, 2, 1, there is none. The agenda is adopted. Yes, we have the agenda for the Congress. Let's move now to motion 4, which is the rules of Congress.
My President, these rules have been adopted by the National Executive Committee and the 2014 Congress. Yeah, maybe there might be changes, but the National Executive Committee did not change the rules. As adopted in 2014, we maintain the rules as they are. They are found on Book 1, page 6, Comrade President. Book 6, Book 1, page 6 to page 8. There's no Book 6. It's Book 1. So, Congress, delegates, we are presenting these rules as your own rules that you have been using, but you've got to read these rules with what is provided for in the Constitution in terms of the rules of procedure. These are additional rules that respond to the material conditions obtaining in our organization, and therefore critically it is that they deal with the conduct of delegates and all of us as the people who are running this particular program. It then also assists to understand the role of the chairpersons who will be presiding over this particular meeting insofar as their powers and the authority they have when the Congress is not following this particular procedure. But also, it will then indicate that when you need to speak, because we don't have the speaking note, you will have to raise a particular card, whether it's green or it's yellow for clarity seeking question, and green is for right to speak, and red is the point of order. You shall do so. You have been given those orders now, and then the chairperson will use the discretion to then allow us to be able to speak. Our Congress is run in terms of motions. So the motions should have been circulated, and then so that all delegates have seen the motions. For example, we have circulated in Book 4, which we have uploaded on the app as well as in the portal, which we have had for some time now. So those motions will be the only motions that will be accepted on the plenary, unless the motions that are of urgent in nature. Those then will also shall be presented to the General Secretary, who will then look at them together with the National Working Committee and consult the NEC on whether that urgent motion can be presented to the Congress. So far as the delegation's responsibility, it is not something that we have changed anything. So we move that we accept and adopt the rules of procedure read with what is in the Constitution. Comrade President. Sorry, I've taken long. Sorry, I must apologize.
No, thank you, GS. It did not take long. Let's check if there is a seconder to the rules of Congress. I see Gauteng. I see Free State. I see Western Cape, Limpopo, Mpumalanga. Gauteng.
Thank you, President. My name is Kosi from Gauteng. We will rise, President, to second the rules and procedures as presented by the General Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Part of what is in our Constitution is that nobody must stand between the chair and the person who's speaking, who is in the podium. I suppose that also includes that poll. I did not see the DPS of Gauteng. I only heard the voice that it was the DPS. May I request our technical people to remove the mic so that from a chairing point of view, I can see a person speaking. Please, if you can assist me on that one. Otherwise, Gauteng, through the DPS, they were seconding the adoption of the rules of conference, the rules that are going to guide us up to the last day of conference, which is Saturday. Is there any counter to the rules? Mpumalanga. Free State.
Thank you, President. Good Frank, the DPS of the Free State. As the Free State, we accept the rules of the procedure with a request or a motion to amend 6.7, President. That says all cell phones must be switched off during the 9th National Congress proceeding. As we are being regularly updated on our smartphones on the Congress procedures and documents, we know that we have decided to go green and reduce carbon footprints. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Free State. The GS is comfortable by amending that and say it must be put on silence. Mpumalanga, I had recognized Mpumalanga, and Free State decided to overtake you, but I'm sure you don't have a problem with that. Apologies. Speak.
Thank you, President. We actually really select the Free State. That's what we, it doesn't necessarily a contradiction, but we wanted to raise the issue of 6.7. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It means Congress agrees we have rules of Congress with that amendment. Now, we are trying to move with speed. The next item on the agenda, GS, is the election procedure. I don't know whether they are here. Oh, if you can come to the podium, ma'am. Pumalanga, a revolutionary song. We all join in, comrades. Amanda, apologies, Mpumalanga, for cutting you. I'll still give you another chance to lead us in song once again. Election.
Thank you, President. Good morning, comrades. To the leadership, I greet you all and delegates present here. My name is Ncedisa Mtenjwa from the Elections Agency. We have been asked by the National Executive Committee of SADTU to facilitate the elections for the national office bearers. Comrades, as you are aware, you will be electing your 8 NEC members, that is your president, your deputy president, your general secretary, your deputy general secretary, your treasurer, your vice president for education, your vice president for gender, and your vice president for arts, sports, and culture. Nominations will be officially opened today, but they'll be opened by the NEC. You will collect nomination forms from the elections agency desk. We'll try and set up on my extreme left-hand side, somewhere there, but will be clearly visible. That's where we propose that provinces, on behalf of branches, will come and collect the nomination forms for their respective branches. So we ask the provincial reps, the designated provincial reps, to come and collect the nominations once nominations have been officially opened. In terms of the nomination screening and validation, comrades, once we have closed nominations, we will then test nominations and check if they are valid. For a nomination to qualify, it has to be nominated and seconded by a different branch. A branch cannot nominate or second two different names for the same position. People that are nominated or candidates must declare or accept the nomination or sign the nomination in the relevant section appearing on the nomination form. If those people that are being nominated are not here, they must then at least have a letter accepting the nomination for that particular position. We propose that when accepting nomination, candidates declare that they are not prohibited to stand for a particular position as per your provisions of your constitution. After we've concluded the nomination screening and validation, we will then prepare a report. We will request to be given an opportunity to come and brief conference on the outcomes of the nominations. It is at that point that we will then give comrades that would have reconsidered their positions or status to officially withdraw if they want to withdraw for a particular position, comrades. When voting, comrades, you'll be voting at Hall 9. It's not far from your plenary hall. You will then be required to bring your name tag as well as an additional form of identification, your ID, your driver's license, your passport, but something that would, because this tag would not be enough, so we'd want at least an additional form of identification so that we satisfy ourselves that the person that is presenting himself is indeed the person that is, or the holder of the identity, the tag. Voting will be by secret ballot. Comrades, we are busy setting up at Hall 9 so that we are ready for any eventuality. Your ballot paper, comrades, we propose that it be put in one page with all positions that are being contested so that we try and save paper and trees, comrades. So positions will the first position appearing on the constitution that is being contested, that's how they will appear, but they'll be in alpha order by the surnames of the candidates. We will then verify voters electronically because we want to speed up the queues. Because Congress is not about voting, but we want to expedite the voting process. Then comrades will be issued with one ballot paper containing all the contested positions, and then they'll be making their marks in a designated voting booth and be inked on your left-hand thumb. Proceed to deposit their ballot papers in the box. That will be sealed in the presence of observers and washed in the presence of observers. Then they'll be marshaled out and come back to plenary. We also request to have observers present. and would like to propose to the NEC that it will be better if you have provincial reps, but that is a Congress decision, of course. We are just advising. If there are any complaints during the election process, candidates are free to raise those objections or dissatisfaction so that we can effectively deal with them. I will now hand over to the chairperson of the session, who will then facilitate when nominations will open and when nominations will close. Comrades, thank you.
Thank you, Election. Congress, let me then invite the General Secretary on behalf of the NEC to move a motion on the opening of nominations. Comrade, yes? You can speak from there, Dad.
Thank you. I like the President, because this walking and walking, when I have lost weight, will not help. Comrade Kunen. Thanks, Comrade President. We would want to move the motion as provided for in clause 15, 1 to 1B in particular, that provides that the National Executive Committee shall open the nominations, and therefore the plenary will have the authority and the power to decide when the nomination shall be closed. So we want to move motion 5 as put on the board or on the screen for adoption for Congress, that we are opening the nominations at 13 hours on the 25th of September 2019. The nomination shall be opened from 13 hours today, 25th September 2019, Comrade President, in terms of the Constitution. Thanks.
Thank you, GS. Nominations. This is a technicality. Nominations are opened at 13 hours today because they were opened by the NEC. Unless, that's a suggestion from the NEC. Let me hear Congress. It's a decision already taken by the NEC. But I see hands, I see KwaZulu-Natal, I see Western Cape, I see there, I can't see which province is there. Or KwaZulu. I see 2 boards, KwaZulu. There is a board KwaZulu, there is another board that side. Let me start with KwaZulu. Slal, I'm recognizing you to speak. Oh, no pal, sorry, no pal, I'm born umil.
Thank you, President. Lumarashia Kaluza, Provincial Secretary, KZN. We are rising to move that nominations be closed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon today on the 25th of September 2019. Thank you.
No, Pala, we're only dealing with the issue of opening nominations for now. To say the second. Thank you.
As presented by the General Secretary.
Thank you very much. Let me hear you, Comrade.
I've had election. I've had the latter speaker who is an electoral. The electronic cards or
Election.
Election. Said, ucela ukuthi sibe nento ezoyiphatha engathi sizo by identification for us to vote. The thing is, we've never told that we must come with some IDs or license. So Chief, I propose that what if we are using these cards, because this card that we have, they've got photos, and then it said...
There's an order. Let me hear the order, Northwest. You may be seated, my leader. Switch off the mic and be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, President. I think...
Wait. The procedure is that when an order is raised against you, you switch off the mic, you sit down. Then let me hear the order.
Thank you, President. I think we are currently addressing motion 5. Let's allow ourselves to dispense motion 5. And probably through your directive, President, we could then probably raise issues as raised earlier on by the election on any other matter that was presented. Because otherwise we would derail Congress if we were to entertain other issues whilst we are still dealing with the issue on the table. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much. The order is sustained. Remember, in terms of the rules that Congress adopted, there are 3 cards that you must raise. It's green for speaking, yellow for clarity, and red for order. And then it becomes the discretion of the chairperson whether he allows you or not. So in future, let's use those cards, because the card you raised, Comrade, I did not even see what color was it. On the basis of that, I'm sustaining the order. And then we can proceed. We can proceed with the Congress. Pumalang. I had noted you. Are you comfortable with the opening of the nomination? Is there any counter? Any person across the river? No one. Nominations are opening at 13 hours today. GS, the next motion, which is the closure of nomination. Oh, it's Congress. Congress. KZN, you want to come back?
Yes, President, thank you for the opportunity. We are proposing that nominations be closed at 16 hours today on the 25th of September, 2019.
Thank you, KZN. Let me start with Northwest, Pumalanga, Western Cape, Limpopo, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Zipele, Northern Cape. Okay, Northwest.
Thank you, Comrade President. Mpolisi Bomvana, a delegate from Northwest. We are rising to second the proposal by KZN to close nominations today at 16 hours sharp. Thanks, President.
Thank you very much, Northwest. I know I have a list of speakers here. If you are covered, please indicate. But if there is any counter or a different view, let me check whether Mpumalanga, are you covered? Mpumalanga is happy. Western Cape is happy. Limpopo is happy. Gauteng is happy. Eastern Cape is happy. Northern Cape is comfortable. So we have a decision, GS, that nominations will close at 16 hours today. Okay. Who's giving it? Okay, election, you want to come back and give further clarity?
Comrades, the issue of an ID.
delegates that do not have IDs now, we will then request that the provincial reps that would be part of the observers vouch for them that indeed they are the people that they claim to be, or so it won't be it's not a train smash, but we'd like at least that somebody vouches to say, indeed, this is Ncedisa Mtenjwa voting, much as we will see the picture. Are we clear, comrades? You won't be turned away if you don't have an additional form of identification. But we then request your provincial rep at least to vouch for you, to say, I know this person comes from this particular branch and is indeed a voting delegate, an accredited voting delegate to the Congress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are done with issues of elections. Allow me, I'm trying to move with speed, comrades. Allow me to call the Vice President for Gender to lead us on candle lighting.
Thank you, President. Malongwe. Igama labakhosikazi. Wathinta abafazi. Comrade President, thank you very much. We're going to light 2 candles today. And let me first start by indicating the objectives for us to lighting these 2 candles. The first one is to honor the memory of those we lost because of gender-based violence, and to honor the memories of our colleagues who died on the line of duty. The second objective is to raise awareness and encourage comrades to speak out and take a stand against gender-based violence. To show support to those who are victims of gender-based violence and lost loved ones because of gender-based violence. The last one, which is the second candle, is to honor the memory of those we lost because of AIDS and to show support to those infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. The first candle that we're going to light would be the red candle, dedicated to those who are infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. This candle represents love to those who are infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. Let's show and give them love, because some of them is the only thing they need. Let's rekindle hope and faith in their life. Come on, let's live our lives responsibly. Those who are faithful, please remain faithful, because it's the right thing to do. Those who can abstain, nor can have a single partner, please condomize all the times. The second candle is the candle dedicated to the victims of gender-based violence and the colleagues that we have lost during the line of duty. It is no use that the women take a stand against femicide. Only women take a stand against femicide. You don't have to be black to fight racism. You don't have to be a homosexual to fight homophobia. Nor do you have to be living with disabilities to fight for the rights of people living with disabilities. You don't have to be a woman to fight for equality and women's rights. Let's join hands, men and women, and fight the scourge that is destroying our future. The second thing that we want to bring to the attention of Congress is the abuse of our children in our schools. The future of girls and boys can't be destroyed by us who are entrusted with the responsibility to educate and take care of them. No sensible man or woman can have sex with his or her own child. Not even animals do that. Let's protect our children, especially girl children, from sexual abuse. Comrades, let's stand up as a union and say no to relationships between learners and educators. Let's say no to corporal punishment. Violence breeds violence. Let's expose those amongst us who are turning our children into sex objects. We need an army of men and women to raise sons, to see women as equals and partners. As we raise boys, we must teach them about respect, responsibility, and equality. Let us teach them that a no is a no, even if it comes from your partner. Let's teach them that there's more to a woman than her body and looks. Equally, let's teach girls that their bodies are the precious assets and they belong to them, and nobody has a right to them except themselves. They must know that it is very expensive and can't be quantified by money. They must never find themselves in a position where they auction their bodies to the highest bidder. Let's teach them self-love. When an innocent child gets hit in a crossfire and her lifeless body is found still with her skipping rope or still in her uniform full of blood, we all need to look at ourselves and say, enough is enough. Let's take a stand against gender-based violence. We are saying no to sexual harassment of our learners at schools and at universities. We say no to human trafficking of our children. We say no to the abuse and killing of our teachers. Teachers are an asset to the nation, and they must be protected. Please allow them to do their duty without any harassment. Enough is enough. I'll light the 2 candles. Thank you, President.
VP, what is the relevant song? What is the relevant? Comrades, what is the relevant song for candle lighting? Let's sing. Can I stop this one? This one will come after this. Let's all join in, comrades. Thank you very much. Let me invite the General Secretary to deal with obituaries. And I'm also going to deal with introduction of guests.
Thank you, Comrade President. I am going to request the technical people to help us in the remembrance of our comrades who have departed since 2014. These are the leaders that sacrificed so much for our movement, and therefore I do not want to waste time, but also because there are more than 140 of them who departed. I would not ask the comrades to stand as we watch the TV, would rather sit. And as it ends, we will want to request humbly so that we stand and observe a moment of silence once we finish watching the names of our departed.
National of
May I then request the Congress to stand for a moment of silence. Male comrades, take off your hat. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Thank you very much. Yes, as the GS is coming to do introductions, then after introductions, we'll then break for lunch and continue with the program after lunch. The concern that we are having, leaders of delegates, many delegates are outside. We want to request that we ensure that all the delegates are inside the Congress Hall. And I know there are people who are selling insurance, our strategic partners outside, which also are creating a problem. We'll address that with them so that we see how we manage it. But after lunch, when we come back, the president of the organization will address us. We therefore cannot allow that our president addresses empty chairs. He is later member number 1 of our organization. After lunch, on the time that I shall indicate later on, as to what time we shall be back, we'll request all delegates to be back and be seated so that we allow the president to address us. I see a board, but I don't know what is the issue on the table, because I'm just highlighting how we're going to move forward from here. Northwest, let me hear you.
We apologize, President. Would really want to add our voice that when our president addresses us, we must all be here. But we have a request to make really. Comrades are freezing this side. If really we can be assisted, would appreciate that. We just want to echo that which the Eastern Cape had said earlier on. President.
Yes, it's true, my leader. We are trying to address it. I know, comrades. Apologies, please bear with us. The hall is too huge, it's too open. So their air conditioning system is not able to cope. But we'll try and see how we can actually address it. I see hands. If maybe one person can come to me to indicate what is the hands saying. Not now, not on a mic. Just come here and whisper to the front table so that we can see how we can best assist each other to solve the problem. If there are suggestions, we'll look at those suggestions as well. Thank you very much. We are very sorry, Comrade Chair Northwest and all the delegates. We know even ourselves here in front, we are freezing. You can even say some of us, it's not that we are disrespecting you. We'll come here, address you with our hands in our pockets. It's because of the cold that is here. But let me invite the GS to introduce our guest. Then immediately thereafter we'll adjourn for lunch. Nopal, if we can come and introduce our guest. You want to do it from there? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Comrade President. Let me echo the apology because we did not foresee that the temperatures would be going down as swiftly as it is. What's going to happen?
During the lunchtime, as we break now, they will be able to seal that open space that side, but at the same time, they will then be able to connect the air cons because they did not connect them because it would have even been more freezing for all of us. So we empathize with the comrades who are seated that side. It will be addressed, comrades. We want everyone to enjoy the Congress unfortunately, we did not have control of nature. It's part of the global warming. We want to acknowledge our guests, and we are so honored and privileged as this organization to have 14 countries present here to come to be part of our 9th National Congress. I'm going to be very brief, Comrade President. Today we have the American Federation of Teachers led by Comrade Philip Abraham, who will be speaking tomorrow to the Congress. If they can stand with Comrade Pat Kiefer. Thank you so much. Comrade Pat Kiefer is part of SADTU. She has been a member of SADTU for years here when she was with the ELRC. Quickly, thank you very much for coming. And now we have one of our comrades from the Australian Education Union. We visited them last year, Comrade DGS, right? Yeah, Comrade Sarah Jones. If you can stand up. Sarah, long trip. Thank you. Then we have Comrade Oster Kabalo, the Director General for Human Resources in Zambia. Welcome. Botswana Teachers Union, more than 8 years, I want to believe they've been in existence. President Khotlamang Uitsile. Bahesu kona ditabeng Lesotho, General Secretary wa rona ke Thabe Kulehile. Welcome. Lesotho LTTU ke Presidente Mafokane Ramakula. O tsamaya hape le National Chairperson Mr. John Mohlabi. Abasekhaya eSwatini babili nabo General Secretary General uSikelele abakafika abamandindlula. Namibia National Teachers Union NANTU, they are 2. They can stand up. It's Comrade Secretary General Ms. Loide Amushila and Lucas Matamu Mbangu from the Chairperson Kavambo East Region. And our Executive Committee member of EI, Comrade Mariam Sako Sako, is from the Syndicat des Professionnels du Senegal. From Senegal is our General Secretary there. She's the speaker today. From Education International Regional Office, it's our mother, Comrade Asivi Napo, who traveled for over 2 days. Welcome, ma'am. Kindergarten Union in Palestine, our comrade Hanin Kubaji is also here to speak to us on Friday. Thank you, welcome. Our national guests, because I'm aware I needed to acknowledge them very quickly because some may not be with us after lunch. So we felt that quickly we acknowledge them. Some will be here, some may not be here. We know they have got a lot of work, so please forgive me for taking out your time before you go for lunch. We have from the companies, Tsuno, they have got 2 people. We acknowledge them, Slungwani and Moyo. And from the ELRC is the chair of the council and the general secretary of the council. They are also here. And we also have, I don't know what is the name of the AAE, but it's Comrade Gwenzamdu. They're also here. Our comrades from the Friends of Cuba Society, they are here. SASCO is represented by 2 comrades, the president and Comrade Muponi. They are also here. Our Global Campaign for Education, represented by the Global Coordinator, they are here. We'll applaud for them when I finish. Comrade Godwin is gone. He's representing NECT. And then Comrade from SEED, Your Trust, the South African Democratic Teachers Union Investment Trust, Comrade Masilo Masitela was here. And Miti is also here from Tsuno. Then I have from YCL, Fasimba, Comrade Secretary or General Secretary, National General Secretary, Comrade Nyugo is here. And from the EDTP SITA, the CEO of the EDTP SITA is here. From Nehau Cooperatives, Comrade Paru is here. From the trust, again, the chairperson of the trust of SADTU, Uncle Harold is here. And from AMSC, Andres Malombosh Kwambani Company, North African, is also here. From Saihold, the CEO is here. And from the Old Mutual, we also have Tipe President. Now, from COSATU, we have the president of COSATU, the second deputy president of COSATU, it's Comrade Losi, Comrade Tipe, Comrade Frida, who says in this treasurer, not treasurer general, treasurer, ne? Of COSATU, they're also here. So comrades, from the SACP, we also have Bratega. Okay, I come on again. Bratega, when I always forget you because you and I are from Mozambique. We are joined by Comrade Rosaria here, our president from ONP. I didn't. Where is Comrade Rosaria? Yeah, he's my brother. I come from my same province with him. I can't say man, can't say obrigado, calmambo. Now, there's another brother there, Comrade Nchalinchalu, who also ran away there. So he's here, our General Secretary from COSATU, and our deputy, first deputy. Okay, is that River? Is that the party? Okay. Okay. And Comrade, is that River? Okay. But we'll acknowledge because I don't see properly because of the light. But the party is well represented here. I want to believe Comrade Soli, right? Well represented. You also brought the YCA, which is good. Right, Comrade President, I think I will then properly introduce the speakers as we come back. But COSATU has Limusa, Comrade, the affiliates of COSATU, Comrade from Limusa are here. We also have Comrade from, yeah, it's only Limusa I see here. And then from the Department of Basic Education, our heads of department, we are so happy you are also here. I see that we also have them. They are present here. We welcome you. We are part of the debate that will be going on, and we're really delighted to have you. And we also have the QLTC. I'm not going to recognize them because they are members of SADTU. They are not voting, but they are participating members from the office-based grouping. So comrades, those that I have not recognized them, the president says that he will give me 5 minutes when we come back to recognize all those are here because they have not been written down. I don't want to offend anybody. It is Wednesday today. Thank you so much. It's the day for church for me. President, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, GS. Congress, we are now going to adjourn for lunch. I am told that lunch is served at Hall 9. When you go out there, I'm not sure the directions, but it's Hall 9. Secondly, the guests are requested to follow Comrade Paul. Comrade Paul here, that is where Comrade Paul is standing, is going to usher our guests to the venue. Comrades, you are still seated. I have not yet adjourned Congress. Lunch is going to be for an hour. According to my watch, it's 21 minutes past 1. However, I'm going to give you as a bonus 9 minutes. Let's come back at 2:30. 2:30 we are here. Congress is adjourned for lunch. Thank you very much.
Natasha. Should I stand here?